I think that's also one of the things that I think stops people from getting started with webinars and other things that they can do to help give value to people. And they're afraid of the technology, and they also, like, I know for myself, even myself, you know, you think, oh, I can figure this out, and then all of a sudden you'll hit something that doesn't work quite the way you think, and they think, oh, that's embarrassing, I should have known how to do that given my background. So there's an embarrassment factor there that you have to get over as well.
Yes.
And I think that, I guess I would say to people, don't let that stop you.
Yeah.
Just don't let that stop you. But I do have another question about your webinars and the fact that you did collaborate with other people in your industry. Just talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how did you go about identifying who you thought you might like to work with? And how did you go about sort of getting them to agree that they would work with you?
I chose the people that I wanted to work with because we had done events together in the past. So I knew their work, I knew their philosophy, and it matched with mine, and also their vision. So we were all kind of in the space that we didn't know a lot of tech stuff. So we're a little bit blind leading the blind, but I knew our audiences were the same. So it was adding value to our combined audiences, which worked out perfect because we actually ended up talking to a bigger range of people. But also what one of us was good at, another wasn't. So we kind of filled in a few blanks that we perhaps wouldn't have had, you know, if we had done it on our own starting out. And just having three brains working was actually much more fun for starters. When instead of getting into overwhelm, we would just problem solve or brainstorm. So in the startup of that, we kind of just had a few ideas that we could run, and we just tried things. And when it didn't work, we just thought, well, that didn't work, we'll just try something else. So I guess it was the willingness to give it a go, even though we didn't have it really refined, and it wouldn't probably be in the format that we would normally, you know, present it to our people. It was just doing it. And two of the three of us were more action, like, you know, if you're stuck somewhere, my girlfriend and I would just go, okay, let's just do it and figure it out on the way. And the other lady was like, no, let's plan. And she comes from an event planning background. So she was a lot more like, oh, you haven't thought about this and that. So that was actually, and I didn't know that about her. So it was good to kind of go, oh, let's use all these skills together. But with that overriding vision that we wanted to have the same impact, or all of us wanted to have the same impact, that we could help improve, you know, our people's lives, but let's just start.
I think that's really powerful. I mean, there's a lot of messages in there, just that whole willingness to learn, try stuff, take action, you know, that whole action brings clarity type of approach. But I'm also intrigued as well. You knew these people before you started, so you kind of knew the kind of work that they did. And I highly recommend that that's what you have before you do collaborations with people, because collaborations can sometimes go south in very unhealthy ways if you're not careful. But because you knew these people and you already had a degree of trust with them, how did you go about some of the more, I guess, titchy stuff? Like, did you share revenue from it? Did you have an agreement in place that you signed, or did you just go on trust as you moved forward?
Well, we did have a discussion before we even started doing them, as ideas on what we wanted to get out there and then how that would look. So we did have a planning session, which included revenue. So we decided to just split ours in three. So we just did equal shares. But we had an expectation, which was kind of because we knew each other and we had done workshops together and one-day events together before, that we all put in like the same effort. So you know, we would just contribute in our different ways, but knowing that it was for the greater good, if you like. So we just, it was kind of like an unwritten agreement and expectation at the same time. But that kind of works in a positive as well, because you feel like, oh, you better maybe reach out to more people than you would have normally if it had been just you, or you don't want to let the side down, you want to bring more people, you know. So it was kind of a good positive feel. And because we were all getting equal parts out of it, I think we all contributed. It sort of led to that influence that we wanted to contribute equally to the outcome.
Yeah, no, I think that works really well, especially when you're taking that attitude of, you're going to do the best that you can so that everybody else in that team is going to win as well. I've got a question for you around the webinar itself. Did you actually record those?
You know what? Our first one we didn't. Big mistake. But the rest of them we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And have you set those up now as an evergreen type funnel?
Well, yes. So there's the three of us that started, and then I did collaborate with another one woman. Mm-hmm. So I've got most of those on. In fact, I did 2 other collaborations. So I've got those on my YouTube channel, and so they have it on there. One's got them on her website because she doesn't have YouTube, and the other one just has them on her Instagram and socials. Mm-hmm. So we all kind of use different mediums, and I've just moved into more YouTube because of the webinars, so that I can have it to, and I haven't done YouTube very much, but just to create another lead generation, which I haven't sort of previously done before, but it's learning and just doing it and then figuring out what doesn't work. I do like to track my numbers. Mm-hmm. So I track and I use a lot of stuff on social media. So I'm repurposing a whole lot of those things. And so that's where I'm taking it, with the intention that it's out there in the world, and it's a part of my next level of, playing bigger, getting more global in whatever form that kind of takes. So we've recorded them, and we're going to think about different ways to repurpose and use that content.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart thing to do. I'm interested that you mentioned that you've put them up on your YouTube channel. I just interviewed Tuesday, I interviewed the lady that's helped us take our YouTube channel from scratch for Online Business Liftoff. And that's going to come out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And basically, she just talks about what you need to think about when you're taking a YouTube channel, starting it from scratch, and then building and growing it, and what you need to think about and what you need to have in place to be able to do that successfully. So it's fascinating that you're doing, that you're using YouTube, and we found it to be really quite powerful. And we're still young toddlers. I like to call ourselves toddlers in that part of the game, because ours is only we're coming on 4 months now that we've had it going, but it's been going really, really well.
Wow.
And just out, because we're into the numbers as well. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but that's what myself and my team are all about. We believe that you should use the numbers to figure out what's working, and then you do more of what's working, and you just keep watching the numbers so that you're never wasting your time and energy on things that aren't going that great.
Yep.
Obviously, you've got testing to do to figure out what is working and what's not. But yeah, just watching the numbers grow, seeing where people are coming from, how they're responding to what you're putting up there, seeing what a difference doing it SEO really well makes to being found. And that's really, I think it's really powerful. So, all the best with that,
Thank you. I think I'll be picking your brains a little bit more on that fact. And just on mentioning about numbers and getting out of bed in the morning, that is actually one thing, because with the numbers, it shows you how you're making the impact. So you, by testing and measuring. So if you get excited about, I'm making a bigger impact by helping more people, you can see that in the numbers, and you can just tweak it if it's not where you want it to be. So I just love it too. I think every business owner needs to, and I know we don't all love the numbers. I don't love doing the work to get the numbers, but when you see the numbers growing, you're like, oh, this is working. It's worth it. It's worth the heartache and the effort. And
as you think about what you've done to reposition your business for this COVID-19 situation, and knowing this is probably going to be more permanent, ongoing, because even if we do go back to the way we were before, you're now going to have extra revenue streams based on, and more people that you're serving because you're more online. What would be 3 things that you would tell people who are just starting out? So let's just say that you've been working on this since March, and before that, maybe there's some people now who are only just getting started. What would be 3 things that you would tell them that they should be thinking about and doing right now to get ready to do what you've done?
I think it's really good to know where your genius is and stay in your own lane, if you like. So identifying that's really key, which sometimes when you're starting out, it's kind of a bit of a wobbly road. So just knowing how you're different, like you were mentioning before, and then just staying really focused on staying on track, and then using conversations and all the things that you do. So say it's with a client. So for me, when I was seeing clients beforehand, I would use conversations, not personal conversations, but just the subject, and make it into content and use it as educational pieces, because that can be then the foundation to a program or a course or even just social media stuff. So you're not recreating the wheel and thinking, what should I post about today? Or what should my blog be on? And that takes a lot of time. So that would be one thing, staying in your zone and then just honing in on the problems and your solution to that and making it content for whatever that comes down to in the end. What else? There's so many things. Looking after yourself, because as a business owner, and this is probably my thing from being a wellness practitioner, you can burn out really quick if you're not careful, because you have this passion that's like a fire inside you, and you just get so focused on it that you forget everything else in the wake, if you like. So you have to plan, one, to be successful, but two, to look after yourself, because you are your business. And until you've got that automation and perhaps growing a team or whatever that looks like, sussed, you need to fuel yourself, but also give yourself time off and time out, and self-care and all those kind of things are just as important from a holistic perspective as well. And then maybe the third thing is connecting with other, like peers, because you've got to fuel your mind with positive things and how-tos, and like you were saying, have you tried this? Like just getting different ideas on how you can make that apply to your business and staying open to different ideas. I think that's really important when you start out, because you might have a certain path that you think this is it, this is only going to be it. But then, COVID happens, or, life happens and things change, and you need to be able to adapt and adjust, but still stay within your original mission, if you like, or your genius.